24-year-old Felicia Johnson disappeared 10 days ago, and her father says a reward may be increased in order to bring in more tips. Jason Miles is live from Bear Creek Park, where Johnson's family says her phone was found. Jason?
That's right, Lynn. A PI hired by the family claims he found Johnson's phone covered in blood here at Bear Creek Park. Further reason the family believes foul play is involved.
She got into a rideshare. Everything seemed normal. Pickup confirmed. Destination entered. But the destination wasn't real. It was an old address, a place he no longer lived. When she arrived, he was already there, waiting in his own car. From that moment on, nobody could track her. No calls, no messages, no social activity. Just silence. Make it make sense. Felicia Marie Johnson was 24, a daughter, a friend, someone who kept her people close, always reachable, always communicative. She had just celebrated her birthday with her family in San Diego. Her father, Kevin, stepmother, Myra, close friends. She laughed. She smiled. She lived the way she always did. 3 days later, she boarded a flight to Houston. She checked into a hotel near the medical center and continued her usual check-ins with family. Everything looked normal. Everything felt safe. But there was someone waiting, a man she had been talking to before the trip. He offered her $500 for a meetup. She agreed. That decision would change everything. Felicia visited a club called Cover Girls in Northwest Houston, asking about dancer positions. There were none available, so she left and returned to her hotel. Nothing unusual there. But in the early hours of April 16th, she requested a ride. The pickup was logged, the route appeared normal, but the drop-off location wasn't real. It was an outdated address, creating a gap in the digital trail. When she got to the location, he was waiting. He drove her in his personal car to his apartment on South Richmond Avenue. After that, she never contacted anyone again. Meanwhile, her father, Kevin, grew concerned. Calls went unanswered. Text messages stopped. By Saturday afternoon, the worry had escalated. That same day, a man with a bandaged right hand walked into a store, buying trash bags, gloves, towels, and a flashlight. Later, he visited a clinic, claiming a simple accident while opening boxes. The wound was treated and documented. The following day, he purchased more supplies, all while Felicia's family tried to locate her, feeling the silence deepen. Kevin booked a flight to Houston, refusing to wait. He filed a missing person report and hired a private investigator. The investigator tracked Felicia's phone signal near Bear Creek Pioneers Park, off Highway 6 and Clay Road. Make it make sense. Her purse and some belongings were found scattered in the park, but she was not there. Community search parties began, volunteers combing the brush and wooded areas, section by section. Even the FBI joined the effort. That first week set the tone. Felicia had vanished, and every lead pointed to one calculated, deliberate plan. By Sunday, Kevin Johnson's worry had grown unbearable. He had been calling everyone who might know something, reaching out to authorities, and getting the usual response. She's an adult. Give it some time. She's probably fine. But Kevin wasn't waiting. He hired a private investigator who traced Felicia's phone to Bear Creek Pioneers Park. Make it make sense. Her phone, her last digital footprint, was in a densely wooded area. The park yielded her purse and scattered personal items, but no Felicia. Meanwhile, investigators dug into every detail of her last known movements: phone records, surveillance footage, ride-share logs. The trail led them to Chukwuebuka Nwobodo. The records showed he had placed the rideshare order, but directed it to a former residence on Windchase Boulevard, creating that deliberate gap in Felicia's trail. Moving on, Cameras from around his South Richmond Avenue apartment showed his vehicle leaving about an hour after Felicia would have arrived. Traffic footage placed his car near Bear Creek Park at the same time her phone signal was detected. Every piece lined up.
Sunday marks 1 month since 24-year-old Felicia Johnson went missing. Her father, Kevin, meeting with HPD last Friday.
We do know when all of her movement stopped, which is her social media, her bank accounts. Any of her movements stopped on the 16th. So that's what I know for sure.
Johnson says police were able to confirm Felicia in the surveillance video handed over by CoverGirl's Adult Entertainment Club, where she was allegedly last seen.
They have identified her on the surveillance footage that is her. And they also know where her last whereabouts were.
He says they couldn't go into any further details, but says he left with a better idea of where the investigation stands.
And I just appreciate knowing anything at this point.
At his apartment, law enforcement found evidence linked to Felicia. And on May 13th, during a traffic stop, more evidence was discovered inside his car. Investigators went through his phone. The search history made them uneasy. Searches for affordable places to relocate internationally, and even queries like, can police access a missing person's phone records? Oh, so now you see the pattern. But despite the apartment and car evidence, and the surveillance tying him to key locations, authorities did not yet have enough to hold him. He was released. He walked out of that police station and disappeared. Weeks later, in June, an arrest warrant was issued. But by then, he had put serious distance between himself and anyone looking for him. Some believe he may have fled internationally. Others think he could still be in the U.S., living under a different identity. Period. Meanwhile, the family and community refused to give up. Kevin printed hundreds of flyers, posted them around Houston, and shared every lead. Community members organized search parties, combing the park systematically. The FBI joined the efforts. Local activists held press conferences, demanding the case be treated with urgency. The energy was intense, but the answers remained out of reach. Investigators focused on every angle: rideshare logs, phone pings, surveillance from stores, traffic cameras. They pieced together a timeline. The digital breadcrumbs revealed the precision of the plan, showing how Felicia was taken and moved. Her father, Kevin, refused to wait for the official pace. He pressed, investigated, and turned over every stone. Even when they recovered her phone, covered in blood, law enforcement initially moved slowly, but the family pressed forward. "The community is looking for you," Kevin said publicly. "We will leave no door locked or unopened until we find you. Whoever has her, please release her. It's not worth your life for the rest of your days." Let me tell you something. The urgency was real, and the grief tangible. Meanwhile, details about the suspect's history surfaced. He had a prior report filed years earlier, but no charges had been made. No warnings existed anywhere that Felicia could have found. She walked into this situation blind. Investigators analyzed his behavior, purchasing gloves, trash bags, towels, and a flashlight, bandaged hand visits to a clinic, buying more supplies afterward. Everything stacked together, building a troubling picture. So what? It wasn't speculation. It was calculated action, a methodical approach that made tracking Felicia almost impossible. By the end of this phase, the evidence trail was strong, but the suspect had vanished. The city, the family, and the community were left holding tension and unanswered questions. Anyways, the search continued, with hope and fear in every step. Weeks after Felicia vanished, authorities had enough evidence to issue an arrest warrant. But Chukwuebuka Nwabuzo had already disappeared. He had every opportunity to flee, and he did. On May 13th, when law enforcement conducted a traffic stop and searched his car, more evidence was linked to Felicia. Investigators went through his phone, uncovering disturbing searches, photos of unidentified people, and even plans that suggested he might leave the country. Despite this, authorities released him. He walked free and vanished into thin air. The community continued pushing for action. Kevin Johnson held press conferences. Flyers were everywhere. "I can't rest until my daughter is home," he said. "We will leave no stone unturned." Period. Even as law enforcement dragged their feet, the search never stopped. Volunteers combed Houston parks, neighborhoods, wooded areas, and abandoned lots. The FBI joined, activists demanded accountability, and social media amplified every lead. Everyone was watching, everyone was hoping. But Felicia remained missing. 10 months later, on February 7th, 2023, a worker in Sam Houston National Forest spotted something on the ground near Flamingo Lakes. A torn trash bag. Inside, Felicia. Officials collected samples, and preliminary identification confirmed the heartbreaking truth. Kevin had prepared for this call, but nothing could have prepared him for the weight of it. "I felt like that could have killed me," he said. "I'm not going to see my daughter ever again, ever talk to her again." Dental records later officially confirmed her identity. The discovery, as devastating as it was, allowed her family to bring her home and give her a place to rest. Even after Felicia was found, Chukwuebuka Nwobodo remains at large. The photos on his phone of unidentified people and unexplained metadata suggest he may not have been acting alone. Felicia may not have been the only victim.
Confirmed as those of Felicia Johnson.
She's the 24-year-old San Diego woman who disappeared while visiting Houston in April of last year, and investigators are still looking for the man charged in her death. Those remains were found in Sam Houston National Forest back on February 7th. Aniela Ruiz is live. What else are you learning tonight, Aniela?
Well, investigators are telling us they hope this brings her family some kind of closure, but HPD continues searching for the man they believe murdered Felicia Johnson. What was supposed to be a birthday trip to Houston turned deadly for 24-year-old Felicia Johnson. She was visiting from San Diego back in April of last year and vanished. And now investigators say DNA and dental records confirm the remains found at the Sam Houston National Forest earlier this month are hers. We spoke to Felicia Johnson's dad when the remains were found, and even then, he knew those remains were his daughter.
Whenever they release her, then I will be able to have a service for her and pay her the respects that she needs.
Houston police have charged 28-year-old Chukwuebuka Nwobodo with her murder. He's on the run. His arrest warrant said they met on an escort website before she disappeared on April 16th of last year. The warrant says they found DNA strongly matching Felicia's at Nwobodo's home, and a gun and a knife and a shovel in his car. Investigators say they also found searches related to how to be a serial killer and most forwarded places in Houston.
I was in anguish. I still am, because I want the perpetrators to be caught.
And now that her remains have been found, many hope this brings her family one step closer to getting the closure they deserve.
And at least you don't have to wonder and question, where is she? What happened to her? At least you have that now. And now we can move on to the next step, and that's catching this guy and bringing him to justice.
Now, if you have any information on the suspect, you're told to contact police or Crime Stoppers. There is a $5,000 reward. Reporting live, Aniela Ruiz, KHOU 11 News.
Vigils were held in her memory, both in Houston and San Diego. Her father continues to fight for justice. He says her discovery was not by chance. It was meant to make sure her case would not be forgotten. The story of Felicia Johnson is a stark reminder. Stay alert. Listen to your instincts. Don't ignore the warning signs. Communities must push for equal attention to missing persons cases, regardless of race or status. And families like Kevin's will never stop until justice is served. Make it make sense. Her name will not be lost in the shuffle. her story will continue to resonate. And whoever is responsible, law enforcement, the community, and her family, will continue hunting for answers. Thank you for watching this episode of Archived Crime Files. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new case. Your support helps us continue bringing you real crime stories, detailed investigations, and gripping cases from around the world. Let me know your thoughts about this case in the comments below. And remember, the truth always leaves a trail. See you in the next episode of Archived Crime Files.